The night my friend's mom looked me in the eyes and asked, "Did you see the photo?" I knew nothing in my life was going to feel normal again. My name is Jake. I am 23 and I live alone in a small one-bedroom apartment on the south side of Denver. The place is old and a little worn down. The heater rattles like it is clearing its throat before it works. The fridge hums all night like it is thinking too hard. My bedroom window sticks if I open it too far. Still, the rent is cheap and the place is mine, so I do not complain. I work at a cell phone repair shop in a strip mall near downtown. Most days are cracked screens, dead batteries, and customers who swear they did nothing before their phone died. It is not a dream job, but it pays for food, gas, and the faded couch in my living room. My life is simple and quiet. Wake up, grab coffee, go to work, come home, eat something easy, and disappear into games or shows until I fall asleep. I have friends, but I really only spend time with one now. Ryan. We have been best friends since middle school, back when we traded cards and rode bikes everywhere. He is 24, works as a delivery driver, and still lives with his mom on the edge of the city. His mom's name is Claire. I have known her for over 10 years. When we were kids, she drove us to games and let us stay up late on weekends. She brought snacks when we were glued to the TV and never complained when we got too loud. She is 42 now and works from home as an online fitness coach. She has light brown hair, green eyes, and this calm way of speaking that makes you feel heard. Growing up, she was just Ryan's mom. Kind, safe, and completely off limits. That Saturday started like any other. Early fall, clear sky, sharp air with warm sun. Ryan came over after work with pizza and energy drinks. We ate on the couch, yelled at the game, and talked trash like always. The living room was a mess of boxes, cans, and tangled controllers. Around 10, Ryan's phone buzzed. He groaned and said he had to leave early. His uncle needed help in the morning. As he slipped on his shoes, he said, "If you see my phone lying around, text me. I always lose it." After he left, the apartment felt too quiet. I let the game run while I cleaned up. When I lifted the couch cushion to look for a controller, I found a phone wedged between the seat and the armrest. It was not Ryan's. It was a slim iPhone with a dark blue case that felt soft in my hand and smelled faintly clean, not like fast food or energy drinks. Then I remembered Claire stopping by the week before to drop off homemade lasagna. She must have left it here. As I held it, the screen lit up. I did not mean to look. The phone reacted to my touch and a message opened. It was from a contact with a heart emoji. A photo filled the screen. It was Claire. She stood in a softly lit room wearing a simple black dress that fit her in a way that made my chest tighten. Nothing wild. Just personal. Her hair was down, her eyes steady, confident, and open. Not Ryan's mom, just a woman letting herself be seen. My heart started racing. I locked the phone and set it on the table like it might burn me. My face felt hot. I stepped back, telling myself I was not supposed to see that, but the image stayed with me. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a soda I did not want, and tried to calm down. That was when there was a knock at the door. 3 quick taps. Confident. I knew who it was. When I opened the door, Claire stood there in a gray sweatshirt and black leggings, hair pulled back, eyes warm. The hallway light caught the gold flecks in her green eyes. "Hey, Jake," she said. "Sorry to come by so late." Her eyes flicked to the coffee table. A small smile appeared. "Looks like I left something important." I stepped aside and told her I found it in the couch. She walked in, picked up the phone, and thanked me. The room felt heavy and quiet. The TV was frozen on a bright screen, but all I could hear was my heartbeat. She slid the phone into her pocket and looked at me. Not like a parent, like someone reading a room. "Jake," she said softly, "can I ask you something?" My chest tightened. I nodded. Her voice dropped, careful and calm. "Did you see the photo?" Quote. For a second, I thought about lying. I thought about laughing it off and saying I had no idea what she was talking about. That would have been the easy path. The safe one. But the way Claire looked at me told me she already knew the truth. She was not angry. She was not embarrassed. She was waiting. My mouth felt dry when I answered. I said yes. I told her it popped up when the screen turned on and I did not mean to open it. I said it slow, careful, like each word mattered. She did not look away. She just nodded once and let out a small breath. "Thank you," she said, not in a sharp way, in a real one, like she meant it. That caught me off guard. I asked her what she was thanking me for. She said for being honest, for not pretending. Then she sat down on the edge of my couch and patted the cushion next to her. "Sit," she said. "I am not here to yell at you." I sat down, leaving space between us, but the room still felt smaller. I could feel her warmth. The TV glow painted soft light across her face. She asked me what I thought when I saw the photo. I stared at my hands. I told her the truth. I said she looked confident, like she knew who she was. I said it surprised me. She went quiet. When I looked up, she was watching me closely, not judging, thinking. She said most people would have apologized and avoided her forever. I said I was sorry anyway. She told me she believed me. Then she told me she took that photo for herself. Not for attention, not for anyone else. Just to remind herself she was still a woman, not only a mom. Those words sat heavy in the air. I had never thought about her like that before. Not really. I knew Ryan's dad left when he was young. I knew Claire worked hard and held everything together. I never thought about what she might have given up along the way. I told her I understood. Maybe not fully, but enough to get the idea. She asked if I did. She asked if people only saw me as the guy who fixes phones. That question hit harder than I expected. I told her I wanted to be more than that. I told her I wanted to matter. She said I already did, that I showed up, that I was kind, that it mattered more than I knew. Something tight in my chest loosened just a little when she said that. She asked if seeing her like that made me uncomfortable. I said a little. Not because of her, but because of who she was to me. I told her I saw her as a woman, not just Ryan's mom, and that surprised me. She smiled. Small and real. She said no one had ever told her that. Then she stood up and said it was late. She should go. She paused at the door and told me Ryan was going out of town next weekend. She asked if I wanted to come over for dinner. Just us. To talk. My brain stalled. I asked if she was sure. She laughed and said things were already weird. She said she liked talking to me. That, I listened. I said yes before I could overthink it. After she left, I stood in my apartment staring at the door. I knew I should feel guilty or confused. Instead, I felt like something had shifted. The days before Friday moved slow. I could not focus at work. I dropped screws and lost tools. I replayed every word in my head. When Ryan texted me, I answered like nothing was different. Claire texted me once to confirm. I stared at her message longer than I should have. Friday came fast anyway. I left work early and changed clothes twice. I ended up in jeans and a black shirt. Simple. I drove to her neighborhood feeling like I was doing something I could not undo. Her porch light was on when I pulled up. Before I could knock, the door opened. Claire stood there in a green dress, hair down, eyes bright. I forgot what I was going to say. I handed her dessert. She smiled and told me to come in. The house felt softer without Ryan there. She cooked. I helped. We talked about normal things. The table was set with a candle and wine. Halfway through dinner, she asked me again what I really felt when I saw the photo. This time, I told her everything. How it made my chest hurt. How it made me feel guilty and drawn in at the same time. She thanked me again. Then she told me why she invited me. She said she spent years taking care of everyone else and forgot what it felt like to be seen. She said the way I looked at her scared her but also made her feel alive. I told her I saw her, that she deserved to feel chosen. She stood up and came closer. She said she knew every reason this was messy. I told her I knew too. She asked why I was there. I told her the truth. Because she made me feel like more than I was. Because I could not stop thinking about her. Because it felt real. She asked if I understood what this could mean. I said yes. I said I did not want to walk away. Her phone buzzed then. Ryan's name lit up the screen. The moment cracked open. She stepped back and answered. I stood there, listening to her talk to her son like nothing was different. When she hung up, I told her that was her chance to stop. She asked if that was what I wanted. I said no. I said it might make sense, but it was not what I wanted. She said sense had ruled her life for years. She said tonight felt real. We agreed not to decide everything yet. To go slow, to be honest. She touched my cheek and told me she felt awake with me. I told her it was her call. She smiled and said that was why she did not want me to leave. She kissed me then, slow and careful. When we pulled back, she laughed softly and said it would not be easy. I told her nothing real ever is. We went back to the table and shared dessert, talking about light things. But I knew something had changed. That night was not a mistake. It was the beginning of something complicated, something dangerous. After that night, everything felt different, even though nothing on the surface had changed. I still woke up in my small apartment. I still fixed broken phones and listened to customers complain. Ryan still texted me dumb jokes and asked if I wanted to game later. But under all of it, there was a quiet hum in my chest that would not go away. Claire and I did not text much after dinner, not because we did not want to, but because we were both careful. When we did message, it was short and simple. How was work? Did you eat? Hope you slept well. Normal words that carried too much weight. Ryan came back into town on Sunday night. He came over like always, loud and tired, dropping onto my couch and complaining about the drive. I watched him talk, laugh, and kick his shoes off like he had done 1,000 times before. I nodded and smiled, but my chest felt tight. Every time he mentioned his mom, my stomach twisted. That week felt longer than the rest. Claire did not come up in conversation much, and when she did, it was normal. She made him food. She asked about his dad. Nothing strange. I wondered if that was how she felt too. If she was walking around with that same tight feeling, pretending everything was fine. On Thursday night, my phone buzzed while I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. It was Claire. She asked if I was awake. I said yes. She said she had been thinking about me all day and wanted to know if I was okay. I told her I was. I asked if she was. She said she was trying to be. That answer stayed with me. The next day, Ryan asked if I wanted to come over on Saturday. He said his mom was making one of her big dinners and it would be nice to hang out. My heart dropped into my stomach. I said sure, trying to sound normal. Saturday came too fast. When I pulled into their driveway, I sat in my car for a minute with the engine off. I took a breath and told myself to act like nothing was different. Claire opened the door with a smile when we walked in. She looked the same as always. Comfortable clothes, hair pulled back, warm eyes. But when she looked at me, just for a second, something passed between us. Not a smile. Not a look anyone else could notice, just a quiet understanding. Dinner was loud and normal. Ryan talked about work. Claire asked questions. Plates clinked. Laughter filled the room. I joined in, but I was aware of everything. The way Claire's hand brushed mine when she passed a dish. The way she looked at me a moment too long when Ryan was not watching. After dinner, Ryan went to his room to grab something. Claire and I were alone in the kitchen. The air shifted. She leaned against the counter and asked me if I wanted more to eat. I said no. She nodded and said okay. Then she said my name softly. I looked at her. She told me she was glad I came. She said things felt normal when I was around, and also not normal at all. Her voice was calm, but her hands were tight around the edge of the counter. Before either of us could say more, Ryan came back. The moment slipped away like it had never been there. That night, I lay awake again. I thought about how easy it would be to stop, to pull back, to let this fade before it turned into something that hurt people. But every time I imagined walking away, my chest ached. The next week, Claire asked if I wanted to go for a walk, just a walk. She said Ryan would be out late with friends. We met at a small park not far from her house. The air was cool and quiet. Leaves crunched under our shoes as we walked side by side. At first, we talked about simple things. Work. Clients. Funny stories. Then she stopped walking and turned to me. She said she could not keep pretending nothing was happening. She said it was exhausting. I told her I felt the same. She asked me what I wanted. Not what made sense. Not what was safe. what I wanted. I told her I wanted her. Not just in one way. I wanted her in my life. I wanted the way she looked at me, the way she made me feel seen. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she reached for my hand. Her fingers were warm and steady. She said she wanted me too, and that scared her. We stood there holding hands in the fading light. No one else around. No noise. Just us. She said we had to be careful. She said Ryan mattered too much to both of us to be careless. I agreed. We promised again to go slow, to be honest, to stop if it became too much. Before we parted, she hugged me. Not quick, not distant. She rested her head against my chest, and I wrapped my arms around her without thinking. It felt right, in a way I could not explain. When I got home that night, I realized something. This was no longer just a moment. It was not just curiosity or attraction. It was becoming a choice. And choices have consequences. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, knowing that sooner or later we would have to face what this meant. For us. For Ryan. For everything we thought we knew about our lives. And I was not sure any of us were ready for that yet. After that walk, things stopped feeling like a secret I could ignore. They settled into my bones. Claire and I did not rush into anything, but we also did not pretend anymore. There was an understanding between us now. A quiet agreement that something real was growing, even if we were scared to name it out loud. We found small moments where we could talk without raising questions. A few texts late at night, short calls when Ryan was busy, sometimes just a message that said thinking of you, and somehow that meant everything. I started noticing the weight of it, in small ways. When Ryan joked about dating apps and how everyone his age was a mess, I laughed along while feeling like I was holding my breath. When he talked about his mom, how strong she was, how she always had everything handled, guilt crept in like a shadow I could not shake. Claire felt it too. I could hear it in her voice when we talked. The way she paused before saying certain things. The way she always asked how Ryan was before anything else. One evening, she asked if I could come by while Ryan was still at work. She said she just wanted to talk. No dinner, no expectations, just time. When I arrived, the house was quiet. The sun was setting, throwing warm light through the windows. Claire stood in the kitchen wearing a loose sweater and jeans. She smiled when she saw me, but there was tension in it. We sat at the table with mugs of tea between us. She wrapped her hands around hers like she needed the warmth. She told me she had not slept well. She said she kept thinking about what this could do to Ryan, about what people would say, about whether she was being selfish for wanting something that scared her this much. I listened. I did not interrupt. When she finished, I told her the truth. That I thought about Ryan every day too. That the last thing I wanted was to hurt him. But that pretending I did not feel this way was starting to hurt as well. She looked at me with tired eyes. She asked if I ever wished I had not seen that photo. I thought about it for a long time before answering. I told her no. I said it changed everything, but it also showed me something real, something I did not know I was missing. She smiled sadly at that. Then she asked me something I had been afraid of. She asked if I would still want this if it meant waiting. Waiting to tell Ryan. Waiting to take things further. Waiting until she felt sure she was not about to tear her son's life apart. I told her yes, not because it was easy, but because it was honest. I said I would wait because I cared about her, not just what I felt when she was close. That was when she reached across the table and took my hand. Her grip was firm, grounding. She told me no one had ever chosen patience for her before, that most people wanted her to fit into their timeline, their needs, their comfort. We sat there holding hands, the quiet wrapping around us. It was not dramatic or intense. It was steady. It felt like trust. Before I left, she walked me to the door. We stood close, not touching at first. Then she leaned in and kissed me again. Soft, unhurried, a promise without words. After that, the waiting began. Weeks passed. We stayed careful. We met when we could. Walks, coffee, short visits that looked innocent from the outside. But every moment added weight. Every goodbye lingered longer. Ryan started to notice something was off. Not us exactly, but the space around us. He asked if I was okay. He asked his mom if she was stressed. She brushed it off. I joked it away. But the tension was there. One night, Ryan invited me over late. Just the two of us. We sat in his room like we used to, surrounded by old posters and empty cans. He got quiet, which was rare for him. He asked me if I ever felt like life was pulling in two directions at once, like no matter what choice you made, something would break. My heart sank. I told him sometimes it felt that way. I asked why he was asking. He shrugged and said his mom seemed different lately, more alive, more distracted. He said he was happy for her, but also worried. I swallowed hard and told him she was strong, that she deserved to be happy. He nodded slowly. Then he looked at me and said, "I hope whoever is making her smile knows what they are doing." That sentence stayed with me long after I left. That night, Claire called me. I told her what Ryan said. There was a long silence on the line. She said she knew we could not stay in the space forever, that waiting was not a solution, just a pause. She asked me if I was still sure. I told her yes. She took a shaky breath and said, then we needed to start thinking about the truth. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but soon. When I hung up, I sat alone in my apartment with the lights off. I thought about friendship, about love, about how some choices do not come with a clean ending. I knew then that whatever happened next would change everything, and there was no turning back anymore. The week after that conversation felt heavier than all the others combined. It was like the truth was standing right behind us, close enough that we could feel its breath on our necks. Claire and I still talked, but every word carried the weight of what we were not saying out loud yet. She told me she had decided something needed to change. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that was honest. She said she did not want to keep living half awake. She also said she refused to hurt Ryan by letting him feel lied to. We met one afternoon at the park again, the same one with the quiet paths and tall trees. The air was colder now. She wore a long coat and wrapped her scarf tight around her neck. I could see the nerves in her face even before she spoke. She said she was going to tell Ryan soon. Not everything in detail, but the truth that she had started seeing someone. She said she owed him that much. She also said she was terrified. I asked her when. She said she did not know yet, but soon. Very soon. That night, Ryan called me. He asked if I wanted to come over the next day. He said his mom wanted us both there for dinner. My stomach dropped. I said yes because there was no good reason to say no. I barely slept. When I arrived the next evening, the house felt tense. Not loud, not angry, just tight. Claire moved around the kitchen quietly. Ryan talked too much, filling the space with jokes that did not land. Dinner was short. No wine. No candle. Just plates and silence. Halfway through, Claire put her fork down. She took a deep breath and looked at Ryan. She said there was something she needed to tell him. Her voice shook, but she did not stop. She said she had started seeing someone, that it was unexpected, that it was serious enough she did not want to hide it. Ryan blinked. He asked who. Claire looked at me. Time froze. I felt every part of my body go cold at once. Ryan's eyes moved from her to me, slow and confused. He laughed once, like he thought this was a joke that missed the punchline. "You are kidding, right?" he said. No one answered right away. Then Claire said my name. Ryan stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. He stared at me like he was trying to recognize a stranger. He asked how long. He asked why. He asked how either of us could do this to him. I tried to speak, but my throat closed. Claire stood too. She told him this was not about betrayal. She said it started by accident. She said we tried to be careful. That only made it worse. Ryan said I was his best friend. He said I was like family. He asked if everything was fake. Every hangout. Every laugh. I told him no. I told him our friendship was real, that this was not planned, that I never meant to hurt him. He shook his head. He said that did not matter. He said, this crossed a line you do not uncross. He left the room. Then the house. The door slammed so hard the walls seemed to shake. Claire sank into her chair like her legs gave out. Her hands were shaking. I stood there, useless, feeling like I had just watched something break that could never be fixed. She asked me to leave, not because she was angry with me, but because she needed space to breathe. I went home and sat in the dark. Ryan did not answer my calls or my texts. I did not blame him. The next few days were quiet in the worst way. No messages, no jokes, no noise. Just the weight of what we had done. Claire called me once late at night. She was crying. She said Ryan would not speak to her. She said she felt like she had lost her son. I told her I was sorry. Not in a shallow way. In the deepest way I knew how. She said she knew this would hurt, but she did not expect it to hurt like this. We talked about stopping, about letting each other go to give Ryan time. The thought of that made my chest ache, but I understood. She said she needed time. I said I would give it. For the first time since this started, we did not say goodnight. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, knowing I had crossed into a place where there was no clean way out. I had chosen something real, and it came with real damage. I did not know if love was supposed to feel like this. All I knew was that whatever happened next would decide what we lost forever, and what we might still be able to save. The silence after that felt endless. Days passed where my phone stayed still on the table like it had forgotten me. I went to work, fixed screens, rang people up, and smiled when I was supposed to. Inside, everything felt hollow. Ryan did not answer. Claire did not call again. It felt like I had stepped into a new version of my life without knowing the rules. I told myself this was the cost, that choosing something real meant losing something else. I replayed every moment in my head, wondering where things could have gone differently. I did not regret caring about Claire, but I hated the pain it caused. A week later, Ryan finally texted me. Just one line, "We need to talk." My hands shook as I typed back. "Whenever you want." We met at a small park near our old middle school. The same place we used to ride our bikes until it got dark. Ryan looked tired, not angry in the loud way, just worn down. He did not yell. That almost made it worse. He told me he felt betrayed. He said he did not know how to look at either of us the same way. He said he needed time to understand how his best friend and his mom became something else. I listened. I did not defend myself. I told him the truth, that I never set out to hurt him, that my feelings were real, not a game, that if he needed space, I would give it. He asked if I loved her. I paused. Then I said yes. He nodded slowly. He said that hurt, but lying would have hurt more. He told me he did not forgive us yet. He said, maybe one day, maybe not. Before he left, he said one thing that stayed with me. He said, "I hope whatever this is was worth breaking the world I thought I knew." After that, Claire reached out again. She asked if we could meet. When I saw her, she looked older somehow. Not weaker, just changed. She told me Ryan was staying with his dad for a while. She said she was giving him space and letting him feel what he needed to feel. She also told me she could not pretend she did not care about me. We sat together in silence for a long time. Then she asked me if I was still here. Not physically, emotionally. I told her I was, but only if we did this with honesty. No hiding. No pretending the damage was not real. She nodded. She said she would carry the weight of her choices. She said she had spent too long living only for others and did not know how to go back to that. We did not rush into anything after that. We moved slowly, carefully. Some days were warm and hopeful. Other days were heavy with guilt and doubt. Ryan did not come back into my life right away. Maybe he never will in the same way. That loss still hurts. But over time, Claire and I built something quiet and steady. Not perfect, not easy, but real. The kind of real that asks you to stand in the truth even when it is uncomfortable. I learned that love does not arrive cleanly. It does not ask permission. It just shows up and asks what you are willing to risk. The night my friend's mom asked if I saw the photo was the night my life split into before and after. I lost things I thought I would always have. I gained something I never expected. I do not know how this story looks from the outside. Maybe messy, maybe wrong to some people. All I know is this. For the first time in my life, I stopped sleepwalking. And whatever the future holds, I am awake now.